I-29 male was invited to a couple's bedroom, and I might have caused a breakup. I understand the title sounds strange. Let me explain the situation. About 2.5 months ago, an acquaintance of mine, 28 male, we're not best friends, but we know each other long enough to consider ourselves friends, came to speak with me, 29 male, privately when we were hanging out with some mutual friends. We started to chat, and eventually told me that he and his girlfriend, 26 female, they've been together for 5 years, were trying to spice things up in the bedroom. I initially thought that was very open-minded of them. Anyhow, eventually told me that they were discussing the possibility of having a threesome, and my name came up as both of them thought I was an attractive man. I'll be honest, that did surprise me a little, as I've never been invited for this kind of thing. Then he asked me if I was interested. To be completely honest, I wasn't really sure. I told him that I was flattered, but I needed some time to think. He agreed and told me to take as much time as I'd need. I considered this for the next few days, and I couldn't shake the feeling of awkwardness. And when he asked me again a few days later, I told him that I was feeling a bit awkward about that. He told me he understood, but also that if it made me more comfortable, we could just see how things went. That we could try, and if at any given time I decided I wanted to back off, we could stop everything immediately. After we spoke, I felt like it could be worth a try. We scheduled everything and organized it. I'm a straight male and wanted him to understand that before we got any further. But apparently he had some sort of deal with her, that afterwards they would invite a woman. Eventually we decided on a date and we had an interesting experience. It was very awkward at first, but that disappeared rather quickly. That was an interesting experience, and for me that was that. However, for the next 2 months I didn't really see him again. He was still in our group chat, but didn't come to our hangouts anymore. This last Friday though, he was at a mutual friend's house. I greeted him, but he seemed really cold towards me, and that mood lingered through the evening. That really bothered me, as I really don't like people being rude or cold toward me without me knowing the reason. I sent him a text the next morning and asked if I've done something to insult him. Well, he answered pretty aggressively. Apparently, he and his girlfriend split up, and he was blaming me for it. We exchanged messages for about an hour, in which he used every word of the book to insult me, claiming I shouldn't have meddled in his relationship. Eventually, he ended up blocking me. Now, I'm not really sure of what I should do. I feel like he's hurt and projecting it on me, but I have a really bitter feeling. I really don't know what to do now. This dude has been in my life for almost 10 years, and I have no idea how I should deal with the situation. Anyone has any advice they can share? Now for the top advice. I think him and his girl had issues already before this event. I think he's just using it as an excuse for why they broke up. Maybe he doesn't want to blame himself or his girl because that's too hard, so he'll blame you. It's not your fault. Just give him time, I think. Yeah, when people want to spice things up, it could be because they found both out they're kinky, or because their relationship is lacking and they don't realize it / don't know how to cope. It appears that you met the second case. This is the first time I've ever heard of something like this ruining a relationship. Shocking outcome. You didn't cause anything. He is just butthurt. I wouldn't bother with it. If he's not your friend anymore, he's not your friend, and that's his fault. He and his girlfriend invited you to a group event and you accepted. If she broke up with him after that, that's on her, not on you. It wasn't like you approached them about this. He approached you multiple times. If he didn't want someone else in their private life, he shouldn't have insisted you join them. He's throwing blame to avoid owning up to their idea wrecking their relationship. He's probably still hurting over the breakup, and it's easy for someone who's hurting to blame everyone but themselves to avoid having to admit they messed up. If he's a decent person, he might snap out of this and apologize to you once he makes peace with what happened and accepts that this isn't your fault. If he's not, he'll just always be the scapegoat for the relationship failing in his mind, and this is the end of your friendship. If that's the case, good riddance. This wasn't your fault, and you don't need a friend who's going to blame you for it to save their own ego. Lol. Your buddy decides to engage in it, knowing full well that wasn't going to fundamentally alter the nature of his relationship with his girlfriend. Then, like a little bee, he runs off and blames you for it when it doesn't turn out how he hoped. Like the old saying goes, you pay your money and take your chances. I suspect he never got his FMF event he was promised, which is likely the real reason he is mad. Next story. My dad was acting like a creep to my girlfriend and my mom keeps defending him. I-21 male never experienced something like this before, so I'm feeling really crushed. My dad was always like my hero, somebody to look up to. My girlfriend I've been with over a year only seen my parents a couple of times. We moved in together during COVID and it's serious. So I really wanted her to get along with my family, like I get along with hers. Last time we went over was last week on Saturday. Then Sunday morning after breakfast, she tells me she got something to show me and says what was happening after I drove my mom to the store to pick up more stuff. She took out a video of my dad with her, and he's acting really weird. But I could tell my girl was nervous the way she was talking. He was telling her she's really beautiful and saying all this super gross stuff he would do if he wasn't married. It made me really mad, but my girlfriend in the video sounded really nervous, and she told him, well, they won't do any of that even if he wasn't married. Then sometimes the camera would move away from him like she's trying to get away, and he would move closer anyways. It goes on like 5 minutes, him asking if he could have a kiss and all this other stuff. It just made my stomach twist up, and I'm really mad. My girlfriend told me she was sorry, and I'm like, WTF? I told her I'm sorry, and that we are not going back again, I promise. I told my mom about it, because I don't know if I could talk to my dad without wanting to beat the crap out of him, and I'm shocked by how she's being. She's seen it, but she says my dad says he doesn't remember, and he was obviously drunk. But that's not true. It wouldn't make a difference even if he was. We know he only had max like 3 beers, which is nothing to him. He's saying he's sorry for making her uncomfortable. He didn't know what he was doing. Now both Dad and my mom say he didn't do anything wrong, and that we're making a big deal by saying me and my girlfriend aren't going to see them anymore. All week she'd been calling me to say my dad is hurt by this, and they didn't think I'd be so willing to drop them over a misunderstanding. I don't know what to do anymore because I need to support my girl, but it's hurting me that they don't see how messed up what my dad did this. Like, how do I handle the situation with them? Look at it this way. Even if you and this girl break up, what about the next one? You'll be on creep patrol forever. Your mom is in denial. I'd be willing to bet this isn't new or shocking for her. He has likely done this and worse. Mama has her own reasons, but that doesn't excuse her ignoring it for you and your girlfriend. I personally would go very low contact. Your dad is sketchy AF, and your mom becomes untrustworthy when she must deal with his behavior. Opie's in the same position as my husband. He warned me, but even he didn't remember how bad his dad could be, and he looked mortified. Haven't seen his parents since. His mom is 1000% an enabler too. So sad. The dude is gross. At least Opie and my husband know it's unacceptable. Yep, the women enable as a coping mechanism. A terrible coping mechanism. Can I ask what prompted her to record? Has he been inappropriate with her before? I honestly don't know how you're supposed to move past the fact that your dad was trying to hit on your girlfriend, and that your mom defended his actions. So that she'd have proof in case I didn't believe her. She's never told me something like this happened before. So maybe just to be sure. I don't know how I'm supposed to either. It makes me sick, and I don't want to ever put my girlfriend through that again. So she started recording partway through their interaction. Even if at some point you break up with your girlfriend, your dad was willing to hurt and betray you in the worst way possible. This is a line that no parent should cross. Your kids' significant others are off limits. I think anyone is off limits when you're married too. That's why I feel really crushed by it. First, feel bad for my girlfriend that she was even in that mess, and then everything else. I thought at least my mom would be mad and she'd be on my side. Next story is titled, Drunk Fiancé 32 Female Slept with Someone While Drunk. So my 31 male fiancé 32 female went out with her colleagues to have a drink. Now bear in mind, this was the first time in over a year and a half that she had gone out for drinks. I had COVID 6 months ago and she has been extra careful ever since about going out, even though I have been pushing her to do it. Recently they had been working on a deal and it was successful, and they went out on Sunday to celebrate it. I was just hanging out at home. She sent me a few texts here and there, and her last text was at 10:30 where she said she would be leaving in half an hour and that she was very tipsy. I asked her to be careful, then she went radio silent, and when she did come back by 1 a.m., I started to worry a bit. I called her number, no response. I called her colleague's number, but her husband picked up and said that she had come home at 12:30 and was very drunk and sleeping and he had no idea about my fiancé. I was thinking about what to do when I suddenly get a call from her. It's 3 a.m. She is crying, saying she doesn't know where she is and that she wants me to come pick her up. I calmed her down enough to send me her location on WhatsApp. It took me 25 minutes to reach there, and when I saw her, I was astonished. I'd never seen her this drunk. When she saw me, she clung to me and kept saying sorry over and over. I drove her home and put her to bed, as I knew there's no point in talking to her in this state. One very idiotic thing I did was that when I brought her home, I changed her clothes and put what she wore the night out in the washing machine. Anyways, when she woke up, I gave her some coffee and asked what happened, and it took her some time to remember. But again, she started panicking and kept saying that she has these flashes in her mind of hooking up with someone and asking for protection. So I asked her to call her colleagues, and she confirmed that there was a guy in the lounge who was very interested in my fiancé, and at some point of time they were talking. Her colleague says when she left, my fiancé was still talking to this guy, but she confirms that my fiancé had trouble standing up at this point. My fiancé has absolutely no memory of even meeting this guy, let alone talking to him. The colleague didn't know the guy. So I told my fiancé it seems like she was taken advantage of, but she is very adamant that she cheated and has been crying nonstop now as she thinks I'm going to break up with her. I've been trying to talk to her and reassure her, but she isn't ready to listen. I think since she hadn't had a drink for the past 16 months, her alcohol tolerance dropped, so she didn't recognize her own limits. Right now, she slept after clinging to me for 2 hours and crying and blaming herself. It's honestly breaking my heart. Please tell me how to convince her, Reddit. What do I say to her? Her colleagues left her alone at the bar with a strange man when she was too drunk to even stand up. She says that she was drunk too and her Uber had showed up. She claims she asked my fiancé if she was okay and fiancé replied yes. Honestly, I am not even thinking about that right now. Well, if your fiancé says she has no memory whatsoever of meeting this guy, and only flashes of supposedly sleeping with him, I take her to get drug tested. At least rule it out. She should also take Plan B as soon as possible if she's not sure a rubber was used. Add an STI screen in a couple weeks. Sorry this happened to you both, Opie. There's no easy way forward here. She seems to be having a trauma response to a violation. Talk to her about being tested. Drugs or alcohol, either way, she was clearly in no state to consent. She's not willing to come out of even her room. I suggested going to a hospital, but she said, why don't you just dump me and send me to my mom's house? I don't want to press the issue here. I'm hoping in a day or two she will get a little better and decide what to do. You're doing the right thing. Give her some space. She may find it easier to talk to someone else. A friend, sister, someone she doesn't feel like she betrayed. She's always clinging to me, and insisting that I keep the door of toilet open while using it. She hasn't told even her BFF yet, and she tells her everything. If I try to give her space, she might feel like I am abandoning her, right? Even now, she has one leg on me while sleeping. Now for the last story. I, 27 male, got injured while saving a girl from assault, and my girlfriend, 27 female, stopped talking to me. My girlfriend and I have been dating for almost 3 years. We moved in together recently and our relationship is great. She's an extremely loving and caring person. I was coming home from a gig late at night a few days ago when I heard sobbing behind a dumpster in an alley. I went to investigate, and a man was trying to force himself on a woman. He saw me and tried to take a swing at me. We got into a fight and it got pretty brutal. I managed to beat him and force him down until the cops arrived. My face got blooded badly. I broke a finger and cracked a rib. I was taken to the hospital after that and my girlfriend rushed there. She was extremely worried and started crying when she saw my face. I reassured her that I was okay, and she went home after looking after me for a few hours. She came to visit me after her job the next day, but she was very distant. She took care of me but didn't try to talk to me and only responded with one-word answers to my attempts to start a conversation. She's even avoiding looking at my face. She's been the same way even after I was discharged after 2 days and came home. She keeps avoiding conversations with me. What is wrong? She's never behaved like this before. What should I do? Did I do something wrong? Only one person knows what's wrong. That would be your girlfriend. You should save the self-doubt or anything else and simply ask her. There was a similar thread months back, where the girlfriend shut down because she was worried about her boyfriend, and seeing him so close to his own mortality scared her in ways she couldn't handle. So she disconnected. Wish I could find it. First off, you absolutely did the right thing, and I'm sorry it did not go well for you. Hope you're healing up okay. Second, it might just be hard for her to see you that way. I know when a family member of mine had a major life-saving emergency surgery, I avoided them like the plague because even looking at them made me want to cry. They took it really personally, but I was young and I didn't know how to express my stress and pain seeing them that way. Your girlfriend might be going through something similar, but it's hard to say. She may also feel like you should have stayed out of it, because it could have gone worse. I know I've had conflicting feelings over my boyfriend trying to defend women before, but mostly because I don't want him to get hurt, not because I don't think it's the right thing. There's a chance she might not believe that someone would be willing to take that sort of injury to help a woman he doesn't have some sort of relationship with. Or she could be frightened that you're capable of that level of violence at all. Or she could be upset because seeing you in the hospital scared her, but now she's afraid that you'll do something brave again and get yourself killed. There's no way to know what's happening in her head without speaking to her about it. This. Or she could be worried about herself being in the other woman's situation and wondering if a guy, like her boyfriend, would protect her as well.